The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pac wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Ryan Reinhardt.
Welcome, NC State wrestling fans, to a brand new episode of the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. I'm your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt, and joining me, as always, is the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Pat, great to be here. The regular seasons and duels have wrapped up, and now we turn our attention to the postseason with the ACC and NCAA championships over the next few weeks. And Pat, we have the weekend off here before the ACC championship, so I thought I'd be able to catch my breath and relax a little bit, maybe not do a podcast, but I made the mistake. I popped in the other day and said hi to you, and you put me right back to work, so my vacation ended in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I got to thank you, but we're taping this next podcast, and I promise this will be a fun episode. Once again, we're creating podcast history here. We're going to have two guests on today. So, Pat, me and you talked for 40 minutes last time. That was enough. It's about time we got some other voices on this show.
Yeah, you got two good characters that are going to be on, and excited what they have to hear what they have to say.
Very good characters. I caught them after practice today, so one was a little tired, the other was a little amped up. But I will say this is the most exciting time of the year in college wrestling. Basketball fans call it March Madness, but wrestling fans, we call it Matt Madness. The Wolfpack will return to action on Saturday, March 3rd, as the Pack heads over to Chapel Hill for the ACC Championships. Then it's off to Cleveland in the NCAA Championships, which will be March 15th through 17th. And Pat, I stopped by practice earlier this morning. That was quite an intense workout. What is the training between now and the ACC Championships for you guys?
Yeah, it was a good one today. I think guys were fired up to get back in there, and you know, they know what's at stake here moving forward. Dual season ended, you know, like you said, you get the weekend off, but we don't. Obviously, we're in here going at it, so it'll be a one of those. You know, we got to manage things properly, but we want to get a good hard week of training in, and you know, prepare ourselves for this ACC tournament. But most importantly, we got to get ready for that, but also zoning in towards the NCAA, ultimately what these guys are set out to do and accomplish their goals. So it's a busy time.
And I think I'm correct here, and this is the first time since December you guys had two weigh-ins in one weekend. So how did that go for all the guys to manage their weight and everything? Yeah,
it was a good test. We learned a lot from it and got exposed in some things, and I'm glad it was in a dual meet and not at the national tournament, so we have some time to change a couple things up. And that's what you do. You know, that's why we put ourselves in this position, is to kind of see where we were at, what we need to work on. And anytime you wrestle high-level competition, you're going to see that and figure it out, whether it's in your favor or not in your favor. And a lot of those things were against us that showed us and remind us that we got some work to do. And the good news is we still got plenty of time to address it and attack it and put ourselves in the position to still accomplish our goals.
And like you said, we're coming off a great weekend of home duels in Reynolds. NC State started with a 19-15 win over number 8 Virginia Tech that came down to the final bout, and then there's a quick turnaround as NC State fell to number 2 Ohio State on Sunday. We're going to get your thoughts on those two home duels, but I think we have to lead off with the environment of both. Those were just two of the loudest crowds I've ever heard for a wrestling duel, not just here in Raleigh, but anywhere, and it was capped by a record-breaking crowd of over 3,900 fans for that Ohio State duel.
Wild. That's what we needed. That's what it takes to springboard our program moving forward. It doesn't matter about the wins or losses. In settings like that, obviously we want to win, but we are still in the phase of building this program up. I know we got a lot of work to do. There's great things happening within, but to be up and running at full strength, the fan base is critical, and that was a breakthrough for this weekend as far as the people that showed up here. There were a lot of eyes on, you know, as far as kids watching, high school kids, and, you know, different people seeing what's happening here. that's the kind of stuff that's needed to win some kids over and people to be fans of the program. So it was a breakthrough in that aspect, and I think we're going to use it, gain some momentum on this and keep people obviously interested in the offseason and move forward and keep building this up.
And that Friday night battle saw a 4-0 NC State team face a 4-0 Virginia Tech team with the 2018 ACC Dual Championship on the line. The Pack won 4 of the first 5 bouts to jump out to a 16-3 lead, but the Hokies came back, won 4 straight, and the score was 16-15 going into the last match at heavyweight. Even that match came down to overtime, but on senior night, one of your 6 starting seniors, Michael Boykin, scored the winning takedown and gave NC State its first ACC dual title since 2004. It was an exciting night. What are some of your thoughts on that duel?
It was very intense. You get in those matches and you're going to be in a dogfight anytime you wrestle a program like Virginia Tech, as good as they are and as well coached, and you can tell other guys wrestle extremely hard. So we knew it was going to be one of those dual meets, and we got an early lead on it, and you're sitting there watching it and you're like, all right, really, it comes down to winning one more match, and who's going to do that? And those guys did a phenomenal job of not accepting that, and they fought their way back in that dual meet and put the heat and the pressure right back onto the heavyweights. And, that's made it a dramatic ending, but it was exciting to see Boykin get that takedown in overtime, and obviously for many reasons, because it's been a while since we've been able to accomplish this, and people have been working extremely hard to put us in position for this, and just thankful that we were able to get that win on that night.
Now, I will say I had to go back and watch the footage of the Boykin match. I noticed at the end, I called it maybe a little bit of a failed celebration. You went out there. It looked like you were going for a little bit of a chest bump, a little high five. Boykin just kind of shunned you and turned right back around and started celebrating.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted me to be a part of it, so that was fine. I see where we stand, and I'll remember that moving forward.
He did say he was just caught up in the moment. Next time, he's going to chest bump you, try to knock you over.
It's like what Mock did to Adam after that win on Sunday. I saw Adam go flying back into the chair, so I'm actually glad that didn't happen.
Number 2, Ohio State was in town on Sunday, and they had 9 of their 10 starters ranked among the top 7 and left Raleigh with the win. It wasn't the result you were looking for as a team, but there was a lot of takeaway from that loss.
Absolutely. We don't ever want to lose, and losing's never fun, and it hurts. It's a painful thing when you encounter that. And it was a tough weekend for us. There was a lot of things going on, obviously Friday night, and then you knew you were going to be, back against the wall a little bit going in on Sunday. And they're, a team where they're an all-star team right now across the board. They got, like you said, I think the 9 out of the 10 ranked where they're at. That means if you look on paper and it's a paper match, they got 9 All-Americans on their team. So that's hard. It's hard to go in there and you gotta find ways to win. And we did not do that. We made obviously way too many mistakes mentally and technically. And I think our guys learned a valuable lesson on that. There was a little bit of lack of focus. And we talked about it, and we'll address it and make sure that we're zoned in. On high-level competition, you got to be zoned in 100%, and we weren't. I'd much rather it happen in a dual meet like that than, obviously the NCAAs or ACCs, even though that was a great environment and we wanted to put out a really good product. I think there were signs of that, and people know the level wrestling has grown here, but obviously we still got work to do.
And hot off the presses, NC State finished at number 6 in the final NWCA coaches poll, the 3rd straight season with a top 10 finish, and just some great stats. NC State's been ranked in the top 10 in 40 straight polls. NC State is 2nd nationally in dual winning percentage over the last 3 seasons, winning 51 of the 56. Again, the great wrestling debate as to if duels matter, but 3 straight top 10 finishes is a great accomplishment.
Absolutely, and that goes to the hard work of, from an administration down to the athletes, the coaching staff, and then the alumni and fan base that have been back in this program. It's rewarding for these guys because this is the product that they're putting out, and they take ownership in that, and they're they're doing things right to continue to put us in these positions, and these duels do matter. We got to figure out a way to make them matter because it adds that much more excitement and drama to the end of the season because it's a lead up each week. Who's going to win to move forward to put themselves into the national title hunt. So we got to figure this out because I sit here and I'm watching across the country. There's arenas filling up with crowds, and then you go to some tournaments, whether it's an open tournament or an invitational, and the stands are empty. So you got 20 teams there, no one there, and you got 2 teams battling it out, and the arenas are filled. So I think we're on to something.
And there's no easy way to transition to this, but you recently had a very dear friend and former coach from your New York days pass away last week.
Yes, my high school wrestling coach, who has obviously had a major impact on myself, many others, passed away recently this past weekend. It would be dearly missed. The impact that he's had, you look at the just the kind of foundation that people lay for you, in your young age. I started wrestling at 5 years old, so I know my whole Pee-wee career, middle school and high school, he was my high school coach. So I spent more time with him basically than I did, sometimes with my own family, with my parents and whatnot, which was, was like a second father as when you're growing up. People like that have such an impact on you. You spend more time with your high school coach than you will ever with your college career is 5 years. You get 5 years with a college coach. Your high school career, you get your whole entire development with that if you're with the same coach, and he was able to do that for me, myself, with Nick Wisdowski, same high school coach, Andy Saris, a lot of great guys that still come down here and help me with my career and things that I'm still trying to do, and obviously he leaves that impact and will forever be missed.
And before we head to our interview segment, we also wanted to give a special shout out to a member of the behind the scenes family for the Wolfpack Wrestling program. I call him a member of that 518 Mafia that you like to refer to. Compliance Director Jason Greco. He tells me he doesn't care how I pronounce his name. But he's worked with you for many years recently. He left NC State and accepted an assistant AD job at Auburn. Pat, can you talk about Jason's role with the Wolfpack program and how he was such a big supporter of what you guys are doing here? Yeah,
he's going to be dearly missed. Did a phenomenal job helping with a lot of things we were working on. He comes obviously from the 518. That's what we call it. That's where we grew up. So, that was a unique thing. You get the opportunity to work with somebody that's from basically your hometown. You can relate to a lot of things that made the relationship special. But ultimately, Jason's hard work and his commitment to the sport of wrestling put him in position to get to the next level in his career, and very rewarding for him. Very thankful for the stuff that he did for NC State and NC State wrestling. He was very involved with the growth of our regional training center and willing to put the work in to help bridge the gap in a lot of things we were trying to do and keep us on the cutting edge with different stuff with NCAA rules that were, making sure that everything's intact, and you need that because we're aggressively doing some things and making sure everything's done right, properly, and no rules are being in jeopardy of being violated. And he was on top of everything. So his I would say whoever they end up hiring coming in here has got some big shoes to fill. But I know we're in a good spot here with everybody on board with everything we're trying to accomplish at NC State.
I was going to make a comment about working with you, but I will not.
All right, we could turn the podcast off if you need to.
Now, we do have 2 guests on this week's episode, 2 guys that got huge wins over the weekend, and both are seniors. Up first, we'll have Michael Boykin talking about his OT win that clinched the ACC dual title. Then Michael Macchiavello breaks down his win over number 1 Colin Moore of Ohio State on Sunday. Pat, 2 huge wins by 2 of your veteran guys.
Yeah, it was good to see senior night on Friday and coming down to heavyweight. That was, you had, first of all, you have yourself that you got to worry about going out there to compete and getting your win, but then what's on the line there. You got the dual meet on the line. You got the championship on the line. You got the fact that you took a loss early in the year to an opponent. That all plays into it. And I was excited and happy to see Michael Boykin keep his composure and not get rattled and stressed out, because sometimes some kids could affect the way they wrestled. And he was very calm and stayed patient. And obviously, when it went to overtime, it was made it for a dramatic end, and he stepped up to the plate and got that win. And it was, I think you said, from 2000 was the last time we went undefeated in the ACC for dual meets, and that's a statement right there. And that comes down to these guys, all their hard work that they've put into it.
And speak about the win for Mock over number one Moore.
Yeah, I think same kind of thing. Friday night he was real disappointed in taking that loss, and it motivated him going into Sunday. He could have easily, been moping around. But if you know who Mock is and his attitude and his determination, I actually wasn't happy he lost, but I felt good that this was going to motivate him to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And sometimes these losses, as long as you don't let them dictate your season, you're going to be fine and you're going to learn from him. And he's a great example of a kid that doesn't let those things affect anything, and he gets ready for the next match. And that's what we tell our guys here all the time. Our schedule, the way it was mapped out, if you do lose, you're going to see another great guy down the road, and all you got to do is just rebound and win, and you'll be right back in the driver's seat. So, he takes a loss. He comes back Sunday to the number one kid in the country, and I'll tell you what, that was such an amazing atmosphere when he did that and was able to accomplish. And the way he did it, it was down to the last 20 seconds. The points all came up late in that match, and it definitely got loud in there, that's for sure.
That was probably the loudest I've heard Reynolds, and it was great to see. And Pat, want to say thanks for giving us the quick catch-up. And Wolfpack fans, we'll be back next week with a complete preview of the ACC Championships, breaking down the seeds and allocations. And we're just going to get you all ready for the postseason.
Hey guys, Jason Bryant from MadTalkOnline.com interrupting this episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Brian Reinhart and crew done a great job in putting this show together. Glad to have it aboard the Matt Talk Podcast Network. Also glad to have you aboard as a listener of this show and other shows on the Matt Talk Podcast Network. You can get a $5 discount code on the Matt Talk Online Division I Preview Guide by using the offer code PACK. Of course, you know how to spell that. That's PACK when you go to MadTalkOnline.com/FanGuide18. This is over a 200-page digital preview guide with every wrestler's record, every score from around the country throughout the whole course of the season, historical information, quick facts, stats. Broadcasters use it. Journalists use it. The educated wrestling fan can use it to, say, win a pick'em contest or just simply be in the know about everybody that's wrestling in Cleveland. Go to MadTalkOnline.com/FanGuide18. Use the offer code PACK to save yourself $5. All pre-sales end on March 13th. This will be digitally delivered to your inbox on March 13th. If you pre-order today, MadTalkOnline.com/FanGuide18. Use that offer code PACK. Now back to the show. Brian doesn't know I did this. Well, not yet. He will.
Now joining us straight after morning practice is senior Michael Boykin. Michael, welcome to the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast.
Thank you. And let's be clear here. I'm really, really tired right now. And I'm about to talk to y'all real quick. So
I tell you, not only are you tired, I tracked you down, dragged you up to our office to record this. So we appreciate it. I know you have a long day ahead of you, but we'll get you out of here. But
hey,
got to talk about your unique season. You're in your final campaign here at NC State, and we're going to dive into a bunch of different stuff. But what's your mindset right now that the regular season is over and the ACC and NCAA championships are next on the horizon?
well, right now we're training for the ACCs, and, it's my senior year. I got to finish strong, so my goal is to win an ACC title. So that's where I'm looking forward to. That's the first thing, and then after that, nationals. Then I definitely want All-American this year. So, and I believe it's very, very, really doable. So that's the mindset.
And I guess we can go back to the start of your story. The 2016, you were an NCAA qualifier at 197 at a weight. That's where you were your first two seasons. But I think, especially you'll agree, it was an awful hard cut. But what was behind the decision to move up to heavyweight for your final 2 years?
Honestly, the way I saw it was Nick was leaving, and I couldn't see anyone else at that weight class. I don't think we recruited anyone to go to that weight class. I mean, obviously Kasor was there, but, and I was just done. I was done cutting weight. It was just really hard for me to make the weight. So I think it was
I will say your final season at 197, before a few duels, you did not look the happiest out there.
No, I was depressed, to say the least, contemplating on continuing wrestling. But, by the grace of God, I'm here. So,
because I guess we should know, high school you were 220 your senior season.
Yeah, actually, my senior year at the state tournament, I weighed in at 208, and that's when I thought to myself, like, wow, maybe I could make 197. But then college came, and I guess I got bigger in the weight room, and it just didn't work out to be that easy.
Did the coaches offer you a wrestle off against Gwizdowski for the starting spot at 285?
No. No.
Why did you not fight for that?
I mean, my sophomore year, I didn't really think. I thought it was best for the team to cut down again at 197. So, but towards the end of the year, I started to think, like, is it really worth it? Is it worth like cutting this much weight? But it paid off because that was a good year. That year, I was gonna
say team won the ACC title, 23-1. So I'd say pretty good year. Now I heard some rumors and spread by the coaches, but you got mad at me for a tweet I sent out about national rankings. I jokingly put you were at 284.8. Heard you did not like that, but. What's your ideal weight, and was it hard to move up or hard to maintain?
I mean, I got mad at you because I would look really, really fat at 284.8. And my ideal weight was to walk around like 240, but I got really fat my junior year. And, I think I was like 250 last year. But right now I walk around about mid-250s. I'm trying to get back down soon, so...
And you split time at heavyweight the last 2 seasons. Every guy in the practice room wants to start every duel in their entire career, but how has the competition at heavyweight at NC State benefited you the last 2 seasons? I
mean, this shows the level of depth we got in the room, and I think, with me, it was just a mental thing. Honestly, it was just like. I wrestle Kasoy, like that's my guy. Then I turn around and wrestle Malik, that's also my guy. So it's like you wrestle guys every day and you hang out with them. It's just hard for me to get through that. But like I said before, I was trained to beat the top 20 guys in the country, and I've done that this year. So that's been the mindset.
Now, you also had the luxury of having Nick Gwizdowski still around to train with and pick his brain. How has that experience helped you, especially with your recent success here in this season?
I just know that if I can take Nick down, I could take anyone in the country down. I mean, it's just like, and it's like the same with him, like, because he tells Pat all the time that I'm really hard to take down because I'm so short. So it's like I feel like we benefit each other a little bit, but I can benefit more because I'm still at the college level. So, yeah.
Now, your senior season here, you and Malik have been battling all year. And at the time back in January, Malik was getting the starting nod before the pack went to Italy. On a recent podcast, Pat told us how he left it up to you if you wanted to go to Italy or you could stay here for the Southern Scuffle. So talk about that decision and ultimately how much it paid off for you.
It was like, I mean, we talked about it. He said, he said on the phone that if I go to Italy, he's going to start Malik. And, me being a competitor that I am, I was thinking, I don't want to end my senior season being the, backup, not taking anything away from Malik, but I want to finish strong as I possibly can. So 10 years down the line, when I have children, I want to tell them that was me at the end of, at the end of the school year. So I was like, I'll just rather go to Scuffle. And I didn't really want to ride 10 hours on an airplane, honestly.
So it was about the airplane ride.
Yeah, it was about the airplane ride. Okay. The turbulence. I don't know. They said it wasn't too bad, but like when we travel in the country, I get really nervous in the turbulence and stuff like that.
Would you have hiked up Mount Vesuvius?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
So the Scuffle was kind of your breakout tournament, some would agree. You notched a win over number 3 Neville's of Penn State in the quarters, then number 11 Butler, Stanford in the semis, and they're both actually in the top 8 right now. So how much of a confidence builder was that Southern Scuffle?
I was confident. I mean, I was confident going into the Southern Scuffle because I had a pretty good tournament in Reno where I lost to, I guess, the Oregon State guy by like 2 points. It was it was a mental match. Like I feel like every match I lost this year is all mental, and I think going into the scuffle, I was just confident. I was just like, I'm just going to let it fly, and just not hold anything back. And I also always wanted to wrestle at the scuffle. Okay.
Now, he would be crushed if we didn't give him a shout out, but he was all over Twitter bragging about it. Jamal Morris took much of the credit for your wins down at the scuffle for coaching you.
Yeah, shout out to Jamal. He was in the corner.
I was going to say, does he have a future in coaching, or did you not even know that he was in your corner?
I knew he was in my corner. I like to give everybody a handshake, a high five before I go out there and wrestle. Okay. Like everyone that's going to be in my corner. So I knew he was in my corner. And shout out to Jamal. Shout out to Jake, because he was also in the mix back there, and also Jake's dad. I really appreciate it.
I was going to say, this kind of tournaments are different. Coaches can't really be in your corner, so I'm sure having teammates has to be a little bit of...
Yeah, it felt like an open tournament, but it was like one of those tournaments. It was open, but it was like a really big tournament. So it was fun. It was a fun atmosphere. I got to drive out there myself. that was a little scary because it was snowing out there in Asheville. So, it was all good. I mean, I had my girlfriend out there. I had my brother with me. So it was a good experience.
And you've had a lot of signature wins this season, but I think everybody will remember your OT win against Virginia Tech the most. It was a battle of 4-0 teams. The 2018 ACC Dual Championships came down to that last duel between the Pack and the Hokies. Back and forth battle. NC State won 4 of the first 5. Then Virginia Tech won 4. The heavyweights were on last, and NC State was up a point. It was a winner-take-all battle between yourself and number 18 Dunn. Before you stepped onto the mat, were you aware that the winner won the duel?
Yes. I think I kind of had it in my head that it might have came down to like the last match of the dual meet. And I also had it in my head, like, I'm not going to lose to this guy twice this season, because I lost to him earlier this season, and I think New York. And it really like stuck to me. So I had to get that back. I had to get that back for myself, and then obviously for the team. So it was good. It was, I usually don't celebrate after I win a match. I usually just try to, be as classy as I possibly can. But, it felt good to get that one out there.
I'm going to ask you about that celebration, because I went back to watch the video and I noticed something a little odd. But I went through the stats, and that was the first time your bout determined a duel during your career. How do you step out there and not try to force the issue or feel the pressure?
I mean, the way I wrestle is just very patient. I like to stay in good position. I mean, I pick and choose when I want to go. And obviously that match, I didn't get to as many shots as I would like to, but, I know that if he panicked, I think, in overtime or the overtime round, and when someone shoots something, usually I have a good counter, and I can just, capitalize on their mistakes.
I was going to say, the bout was 1-1 going into OT. What did you feel about regulation? It seems like you were pushing the pace, not too many shots, but seemed like a couple times you came close, but just couldn't quite get that takedown in regulation.
Yeah, like I said, it was actually like really frustrating. Even after the match, I was just like, man, this guy really stayed back the whole time. And it was kind of like the first time we wrestled. Like, he stayed back the whole time. He wanted to go to overtime until like the riot outs. And so I was like, I just got to be patient, got to, fake and do more, and we went to overtime. Honestly, I don't remember if I shot. I think I shot. I
was going to say, overtime came. Dunn took the first shot. He actually got pretty deep on your thigh, but you were able to reach around.
Yeah.
You grabbed his ankle, then secured the takedown about 25 seconds in. The place erupted.
Yeah.
Just describe that feeling, and that was a good move. The guy next to me said it was a veteran move by you, that you held on to his ankle and just turned around and got the takedown.
I knew when I reached and grabbed his ankle that he wasn't going to get up, because it was his outside ankle, and usually when you shoot across your body, you want to step out or step up with your outside foot. So once I grabbed that, he wasn't going nowhere. So I was like, that was his mistake. I had to capitalize.
Now the celebration, you got up. I went back, I watched the video. Pat looked like he was going to come out for a chest bump.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you noticed him. Did you even see him out there? Because he didn't get any kind of recognition at all from you.
Yeah, I was just in the zone. It was just a really special moment. I
Because it was senior night, too.
Yeah, it was. I seen a picture of, I think it was one of the Morrises. It was just like, it just looked like he was just froze in midair.
Levitate. There were some good Morris pictures.
that was hilarious. I must have, like, I watched the videos a couple of times, too, and it's just like, every time I watch it, I just get this thing in my stomach and just, wow, that was amazing. It was amazing. So I'm going to look back on it. Like I said, 10 years from now, when I have little fat me's and children and stuff saying, Daddy, was that you? Yeah, that was me. Hopefully I'm not 300 pounds. Yeah. So
turning our attention to the ACC championships in a couple weeks, because of injury and some shuffling of lineups, there are 3 heavyweights that went undefeated in ACC action. Yourself is 3-0. UNC's Daniel was also 3-0, and Casper from Duke was 5-0. Allocations aren't out yet, but what kind of challenge is it for you this year at heavyweight?
Going into ACCs?
Yeah.
Just take it one step at a time, honestly. Whoever, it really doesn't matter at this point. Like, I'm going to be finished in about a month from now. So it's like, I got to go hard. I got to either, step up to the plate. It doesn't matter if I'm 3, get Casper in the semis. I still got to wrestle like it's, my last match ever. I just got to, hopefully I'm number 2. I hope. But if I'm 3, I just got to take it how it is. But
now in 2016, you started the ACCs, got 3rd place at 197. NC State won the team trophy. How important is it for this year's team to follow up the regular season trophy with the tournament trophy?
That's going to be awesome. I don't think, has it ever been done before?
It's been an awful long time.
Yeah, to be a part of that, it's going to be great. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, I want another ring before I leave here. So.
And you're currently working on your undergrad degree in Parks, Rec, and Tourism. I heard you went to a great fair last night, career fair. But what do you see yourself doing with that degree once you graduate?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't know, but we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm a soldier, so I'm a hustle. I'm gonna figure something out. But I gotta do an internship this summer, so we'll see.
Have you secured the internship yet?
Not yet. I'm still working on it.
So any of our listeners out there, if you want Michael Boykin for an internship,
please help me out. Please.
Michael, want to thank you for coming by after practice. I know you want to get back, maybe take a nap, maybe go to study hall. We'll see. But this is an exciting time of year as postseason wrestling is always entertaining. Good luck at the ACCs and then the NCAAs, which aren't that far away.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I just want to say, if I'm not fat in 2 years, I told you so.
I think we got to leave that one on there. Thanks again, Michael, for stopping by.
Thank you.
We're now joined by redshirt junior Michael Macchiavello. You don't know how many times I've messed up your last name on this podcast, but I like a challenge. So welcome to the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, Michael Macchiavello.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to finally have you on. I've had people email me, tweet at me, all asking when you were going to be a guest. And we certainly picked a great time coming off a weekend where you faced off against the number 2 and then the number 1 wrestlers in your weight class. Like I told Pat on a previous podcast, maybe it has happened at the NCAA championships, but have you ever seen a wrestler face the top 2 guys in one weekend in back-to-back matches?
No, I haven't. Something I was really excited about. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool experience. Good to be prepared.
So individually, what was your mindset going into this past weekend of action, knowing that you had that challenge coming up?
It honestly wasn't anything crazy. I think it was the same as any other weekend. I think you try your best to kind of just prepare for every single match the same, regardless of who you're wrestling. That way you don't overlook anybody and get caught in something crazy. And that way you get up for the big matches and wrestle well. So, I just took this match like any other match and didn't hype it up in my mind. And it was easy to prepare for and was exciting to be part of.
And for those that don't know, Friday night you faced number 2 Jared Hott of Virginia Tech, then turned around on Sunday and wrestled number 1 Colin Moore of Ohio State. Your battle against Hott was for the top seed at the ACC championships. The match was close, but there were no takedowns, and he came away with a 2-1 win. What were your thoughts on that match?
Man, I got some big mistakes that I made in that match. I didn't even know how to stall call. I thought we were going into overtime in the 3rd period.
So you're talking about that stall in the 1st period.
Yeah.
You didn't realize that was called?
Yeah, the first 25 seconds. In my mind, if you get hit for stalling in the first 25 seconds of the match, that's kind of ridiculous. who gets that tired in 25 seconds? I feel like when I was in middle school, I could have lasted 25 seconds in a match. But, it was the right call. I guess I was going out of bounds. I tried my best to circle back in, make it look like it was continuous action, but I guess the ref didn't think so. So, come third period, I gave that second stall call and gave the point, and I didn't even realize that. Should have looked up at the clock and known what the score was. So,
and actually, I got that. We're going to talk about stall calls a little bit later, not to criticize officials, but just to educate our fans a little bit, because you had two pretty unique stall calls against you this weekend. But the good part about Friday night was 6th-ranked NC State defeated Virginia Tech 19-15 and claimed the Wolfpack's first ACC dual championship since 2004. And Michael, for you seniors, your goal was a perfect 5-0 record in ACC action. How great of an accomplishment is it to win that dual title this season?
I think that was a huge accomplishment for us. I think it's just another barrier that we just broke down as a program. In my 5 years here, we've never beaten Virginia Tech in a dual meet. And so to be able to do that on senior night, I think was amazing. And shout out to Mike Boykin for coming in clutch for us there at the end. Got to take down in overtime, which was huge.
So quick turnaround to Sunday. Number 2, Ohio State came to town, and you had a matchup with number 1 Moore in the second bout of the duel. And before we get into that match, you're at 197 this season, and normally when we start at 125, you're the second to last match. But this duel, you were the second match. Do you have a preference to when you wrestle in duels?
Not really, but I really don't mind going early because it kind of allows me to relax and just be able to enjoy the rest of the dual meet. If I'm last, the coaches don't really like me out there on the bench because I get so into it. So they send me in the back room.
I will say you do use a lot of energy when you're not wrestling on the bench.
So it's good. That way I was able to enjoy the rest of the dual meet.
Now, moving on to your match against Moore on Sunday. This is something we haven't tried on the podcast before. I'm going to get you to break down some of the moments of that bout. Moore struck first with a takedown with 5 seconds left in the first, and you were down 2-0 going into the second. What kind of mentality must a wrestler have to know that there's still 4 minutes left and not to force the issue even if they go down?
I think you just got to stay present. I think you can't really think about it much. You get taken down first. It's not a big deal. Like you said, there were still 4 minutes to wrestle, and I think your focus is the same. You're just, okay, well, you're on your feet at the beginning of the match. Your focus is to score points. Same thing on bottom. You're down 2-0. Okay, score points. First thing you got to do is get up, get an escape, get your first point, and then just continue to try and score from there. And so
you started second on top. Moore got the escape, but a quick point came in your favor. Eye poke, head punch. What was the penalty point there?
I guess like the face, palm to the face, but I think the ref was just kind of trying to even it out from the ridiculous stuff he gave in the first. Yeah.
So you got an escape to start the third, then went on the aggressive, forcing a pair of stalls before your first takedown with 25 seconds left. What were you looking for on that takedown? It was right on the edge of the mat and right in front of the Ohio State bench, but that takedown really changed the momentum.
I was just trying to win the match. I knew I was down and I had to do my best to score. I know in the hot match on Friday, I was trying to score in the third period, and I didn't really have a whole lot of motion going, so it was really hard to get to his legs. And so after he got hit for that first stall call, I said, all right, just get your motion going and try your best to get him biting on fakes, and that'll open him up. And so, it worked out in my favor. I was able to get to his legs on that first takedown.
And you got that first takedown, but the official then stopped the bout and penalized you for lock hands. Can you explain that rule to our listeners, what that situation was?
So when you take somebody down, you're considered you're in the top position. You swiftly take your opponent down to the mat. You go from neutral to, the top position. And when you're in the top position, you're not allowed to clasp your hands together in the top position. And if you do, that's a penalty point. And so after I had taken him down, I had not released my hold. So I was penalized and Colin Moore was given a point. But in my defense, I thought the ref was going to call us out of bounds since we were on the edge. So I was just kind of holding on, waiting for the ref to, call us out of bounds. And, it just, yeah.
Couple of questions of the ref here, but so there was a restart. You were on top with 16 seconds left, and the bout was actually 5-4 after that penalized point. I assume you would have liked to ride him out, but that dude's pretty strong.
Yeah, no, he did a good job getting off bottom, and I knew I was going to have to, try whatever I could to maybe stall, hold on to his leg. I was willing to do whatever, but he got away, and, wasn't much I could do about that, and
and he got away with 10 seconds left, and you gave him no time to breathe. You were right back on him, got in on the double legs. 2 seconds, I went back and watched it. 2 seconds left, the ref signaled for the takedown. Talk about that takedown that won the match.
Man, so I knew he was tired. You know, you could just see it in his body language. He was kind of just trying to hold on, you know, keep his distance. And so once I got to that second double, locked my hands for a brief second, and then he kind of broke that. And so then I wrapped my leg around his leg to try and hold on. And I kind of felt him giving way and just kind of drove through and finished the takedown. And it was an awesome moment.
I was going to say, have you ever heard Reynolds any louder? I mean, we had 3,900 fans in that building. It was a great environment.
Yeah, I've not heard Reynolds that loud before. I tried my best to kind of hold in my emotion. Couldn't do it.
I was going to say, you gave a little fist pump. I didn't think it was a bad celebration at all, but you calmed yourself down about 2 seconds later. So now I posted that video of your final takedown on the Pack Wrestle Twitter account, and it's gotten over 50,000 views. The NCAA had it as a top 10 play of the week. How much has your phone blown up, and how do you keep a level head after such a good win?
Phone's blown up a lot. Social media's blown up a lot. I think I got like 70 followers on Twitter and 85 on Instagram. A lot of people texting me, Facebook, Twitter, you know, messaging me. So it's been really cool. And I think the best way to keep a level head is just understanding that there's still 25 days left in the season. You know, that's not the NCAA tournament. That wasn't the NCAA finals. And as great as of a win that was, as that was, then, you know, that doesn't dictate how I'm going to perform, you know, come March. So I just got to make sure I'm continuing to improve and sharpening up the little details that I need to fix in order to, you know, accomplish what I set out to do.
Now, we have a lot of diehard fans that listen to this podcast, but I think we also have some casual wrestling fans that are turning into bigger Wolfpack fans. So sometimes we like to explain certain rules and educate. So I think a couple of calls you experienced would be perfect examples. Now, no way are we questioning or criticizing these calls. We're just trying to explain them a little bit more. But the first I wanted to ask you about was the second stall call against Virginia Tech. You were up 1-0 into the third, and you were actually on top of how as it started. Now, while you were in control, you were hit with a second stall before you gave up that escape. Can you explain why that call was made?
So typically when you're in the top position and your opponent gets to his feet, you have about 5 to 7 seconds, I would say, to return him to the mat. After that, the ref's going to hit you for a stall warning, and you can either decide to cut him loose or attempt to return him back to the mat again, but you run the risk of getting hit with another stall warning and giving up a point. So I definitely took longer than 5 to 7 seconds. So that was my mistake. That was a mental error that I made in the match and something that I had to fix.
But I will say, too, it's a lot in that environment. The crowd was going nuts. You were on the other end of the mat, so you couldn't even hear the coaches. So that is something you have to keep a mental kind of count in your own head, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I thought I was actively trying to return him, so I thought, you know, I was going to be fine. But, you know, the rules are rules, and the refs are going to stick to those.
Now, this second call is going to be a little harder to talk about being a right call in NC State's eyes. Some people are still wondering about the explanation. In the first period of your win over number one Moore, you were chasing his legs on the edge of the mat, and you both went out of bounds. But the official hit you with a stall. What was the explanation of that stall? And fans, remember, we're not questioning these calls. We're just trying to explain them. But the crowd did not like that stall call. Could you walk us through that stalling call a little bit?
So I'm not 100% sure because I actually don't agree with the call either. Mm-hmm. You know, I passed his arm and got to a leg and was driving him out of bounds. But I think if you're intently trying to drive your opponent out of bounds, not allowing them to circle back in, then that's considered stalling. And so I guess that's the way the ref tried to perceive that. Mm-hmm. I didn't agree with it, but it is what it is.
You recovered, moved on, and we're going to move forward. You guys have 2 weeks before the ACC Championships, which will be held in Chapel Hill on Saturday, March 3rd. We're taping this podcast before allocations and seeds are set, but looks like 197 will have at least 3 allocations to advance to the NCAAs. What kind of challenge will it be for you at the ACCs this year?
I think it's been a good challenge. I had a 3-2 match with Danny Chade from UNC. That was a 1-point match. I think I can score more points, but the guy does a good job trying to hold on to people's head and keeps matches close. He also has a win over number 2 or Miklas from Mizzou. I don't know what he's ranked, but he's not a bad opponent. And then you also have Jared Hott, the guy I lost to on Friday. So I think it's going to be a good tournament, but I'm excited to redeem myself against Hott especially.
And you redshirted when the Pac won the 2016 ACC championship. So how important is it to you in your final season for this team to repeat that feat with the team trophy?
Really important. I was a part of that. I was training in the practice room, but I wasn't actually like physically in the tournament. I didn't get to score points for the team. So to be able to actually be in that position with the team this time is going to be really exciting for me. And I think it's just going to be good. I think, as seniors, we want to go out with a bang, and last year, Virginia Tech took it away from us, and so just trying to run away with it this year.
And God, thank you for joining us on this episode. Once again, congrats on a great win, but more importantly, good luck at both the ACC and NCAA championships coming up in the next month.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. And
again, Wolfpack fans, we'll be back next week with a full ACC championship preview. I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast covering all things NC State wrestling. Until next time, Wolfpack wrestling fans, go Pack!
The Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MatTalkOnline.com.